Thanks for tuning in to video 2 of Fab 4x4. Today we're going to be working on this Dana 60 Kingpin. We're going to go through the wheel ends and see what kind of shape the wheel bearings are in and get an idea of what we need to replace on it. Let's get to work. So we've got the wheel end pulled down on both sides. While I was working on it, I inspected the U-joints that are in there. That one's got a little bit of play in it, so we're going to go ahead and replace them. On this wheel end here, we're going to have to do something about these rotors on both sides. They're pretty well trashed from setting. This wheel bearing here, right there, it's got rust started on this roller here. So we're gonna have to do new wheel bearings. And since this is the first time I've been in this axle, we're gonna go ahead and do it on both sides. Inside the spindle here, you can see a roller bearing. It's seized up that the axle rides on right there. So we'll have to replace that. Even though this side rolls, I'm gonna replace it too, so it matches. And then these lock-in hubs, those are pretty well trashed, so we're gonna go ahead and replace them too. Kingpins, there was no play in those, so we're gonna leave them alone. We'll check out that center section a little more. We gotta get these brackets cut off to be able to have the room for the truss that we're gonna weld onto it. And hopefully that's gonna be all we do before we start sticking it in the truck. Hopefully I won't find any metal or anything in the center section, and we can just do a lot of fab work. All right, that's it for today. Be back later. And we're back. It's been a couple days, but we've got the truss in now. Get you set up here on a tripod, and we'll do an unboxing video, see what it comes with. All right, first things first. We got some Barnes stickers, Barnes 4-wheel drive. That's where I got the truss from. That's a big piece of steel there. All right. So there it is. It's got a top plate.
3 different stiffener plates that just slide into place, and 2 side plates. They made it like that so you can get it all set into place and it'll weld all in together. There's little notches up top so you can weld it all in, and it'll go on that axle. This will go across the top, just like that. That's what I was saying, you gotta cut these brackets off so that'll drop down onto the axle the right way. So we'll have to do some cutting. We've also got to get those U-joints checked out, pounded out. Got some coming. Don't know if they're exactly right, so I'm going to take one apart, make sure I take it in to the parts store and check them out when I pick them up. Also, the last one. They weren't at the off-road game, so I couldn't pick them all up at the same time, but it happens. So these are, like I said, these will pull right out of here. There's a lot of dirt in that axle tube. Gross. Well, maybe I'll do a little work tonight and get one of these U-joints out. Okay, there's the axle shaft for the driver's side. The U-joint is out. It was a greasable U-joint. I'm gonna guess they weren't doing a very good job of making sure it was greased. Guy I bought it from was bought it and gonna put it in a truck. Never got around to it. So now I got to take that to the parts store, make sure it matches with what we ordered. We can start going together with it. Alright, got that bracket cut off on this side, so I can set the front plate and the lateral plates in. But my disc on my grinder is too small. Get in here and cut the welds off for this bracket. So we're gonna have to go to the store and get some new discs before we can go any further with it, because the other plate, wherever it is, that one there, that goes on the back side of this, will hit that little tab right there. So that's got to go. We got to get the axle cleaned up, get the truss all welded together and welded onto the axle. That's all I've got for tonight. Thanks for watching.
All right, so we're back. I got to the store, so I've got cutting wheels to get these brackets cut off this axle. We'll see what we get done today. All right, so all the brackets are cut off, cleaned up the top side of the axle, and I test fit the truss. So set it back down on top, and this vent kind of right in the way. So we're gonna have to do something, get an elbow on it, something like that to get it run somewhere, or maybe drill a hole in the top of the truss and bring it out the top, something like that. So gotta get that figured out. Fun. And we're back. So it's been a couple days. Been trying to figure out how to get a good MIG welder at home. Can't quite figure it out yet. Got to figure out some sort of electrical for it. So the truss is here at work. I'm gonna do some tacking. All right, got it all welded up. Just a couple places. So it's all one piece. I can modify it now, set it on the axle, figure out where I need to drill a hole for a vent for the differential. Hopefully by the time I get all that figured out, I'll have the welder I just picked up straightened out. I can use it to finish weld that and weld it onto the axle. Pretty excited about it. But running the electrical in the house, not really something I want to cover on this channel. So that's why I'm leaving it out. Thanks for watching. All right, so I'm at home now. Been a couple days again. We're gonna do some welding on the truss. I've got this new welder here. It's a pretty nice little machine. I'm using it in the MIG setup. We've got a small bottle of gas, is CO2 and argon mix, and I'm using 035 wire. We're gonna use it on 110 because I don't have any higher output electrical in my garage yet, and we're just gonna do some small welds, work back and forth on this truss and get it all welded up.
So I had a problem with the welder, more like the spool. The wire got off to one side and got stuck down in the spool. So the feeder can't pull the wire out of the spool like it needs to keep welding. So I guess it's time to take a break and work on something else for a little bit. So there's what I'm talking about. So when I hit the trigger, it's not able to pull the wire. So I don't know whether cranking this down is gonna solve it. It looks like it's pretty bound up in there. So I'm gonna have to figure something out. I'll let you know what I did when I get it done. Well, that didn't take long. So there's an adapter right here that adapts it to a smaller spool or a bigger spool. You can see right there. So the adapter gets tightened down with the swing nut, and I had it too tight. And what it made it do is the spool wouldn't roll very easily. And then this goes into the adapter, kind of snug like that. And that keeps the adapter, or the spool, from falling off the adapter. So, easy fix. Now we can set the lid back down and get back to welding. So it's been a couple hours. I did some welding without videotaping it, but all the outsides of the truss on both sides are welded. So now we got to do the insides, and I got some welds on these braces so they didn't pull apart as I was welding the outside. I held these plates to that plate. It's a lot of welding in one day for this little machine, and everything else I was doing today. We're about out of gas. So I have to figure that out. Maybe I can get a bigger bottle next time. But that's what I've got. Once I get all the inside welded on, I'll start dropping it down on the axle, put it down on the axle, and make sure that all these spots along hit the axle tube. Make sure there's not a high spot or a low spot on this truss, so it'll set down nice and even. And then I gotta figure out where to poke a hole in the truss so the vent right there and the differential will come through it, and we can run some line up to a dry box so we can go into deep water without worrying about putting a whole bunch of water in the center section of this axle. But that's what I've got for now. Thanks for watching.